Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
And a very good evening to you and welcome to Newsline Live. Sorry. And this evening we are in conversation with a person who is very much in the news. Now, there is growing concern about the respect for the rule of law and the implementation of the rule of law equitably for all, especially when we think about COVID-19 and the requirement and the guidelines issued by various people in authority and so on, and people in the know, that all people should follow certain rules, like your face mask, washing your hands and keeping them clean, and space, the distancing. So when people are given guidelines, one is expected to follow them and comply, and so is the same about the rule of law. Our guest this evening is in the news because apparently there has been a departure from the due process or the rule of law. He's right here with us, Professor Harendra. Very good evening to you, Professor Harendra. And Professor Harendra, of course, is the President of the Sri Lanka Medical Council, or not, as the case may be. What's the problem? Have you been removed?
I have been given a letter of revocation of my appointment, which I feel is illegal because there is no provision in the ordinance. Indeed. Which is there.
I have the ordinance here. Section 15 of the ordinance here, the medical ordinance, chapter 105, says here under section 15 that deals with the ways in which somebody can be removed. If I may I just quickly read it out?
Yes, please.
A member of the medical council shall be deemed to have vacated his or her seat on sending his resignation in writing to the president or the registrar, on his absence without excuse sufficient in the opinion of the medical council from 3 consecutive meetings of the medical council, on his absence from Sri Lanka for 12 consecutive months, on erasure of his name from a register, on his being declared an insolvent or bankrupt by any competent court, and or on expiry of his term of office. None of these things here, 15 A, B, C, D, E, F, refers to the minister being able to remove the president of the SLMC, although the minister is the appointing authority, section 12A.
Yes.
Now, is that a rough,
correct.
good thing?
Yes.
All right. So then, what's the problem? Why has dear minister removed you, or trying to remove you?
I still don't know, but there are some reasons given in it.
Right.
Going back quickly to the history.
Yeah.
There is a pressure group of doctors who have been making certain accusations, and those same accusations have come in as to the minister, who appointed a 5-member committee again of doctors, and some of those doctors in that committee are also members of that particular lobbying group against me and some other members, and then they came up with some recommendations or observations, but at the same time we were not allowed to say anything in defense of the accusation.
Right.
So basically what happened was the council answered the accusations in a 400-page document to this committee.
This council composes of 23 members.
Yes.
Right.
Of course, all did not take part. I was not part of it. We nominated 3 members, 2 deans and another member, and they came up with all the answers for the 5 questions that was raised in the terms of reference, and that was submitted. We had a meeting with the whole council, which lasted maybe 2 or 3 hours with this committee. However, no accusations were brought against any of the members, nor were specific accusations. right? And so basically it was a group discussion, right? And then after that no questions are asked, and then the next thing we knew, the report was not put out. We were not sent the report of this committee, and then we get this letter saying, and then specifically out of the 20 odd members, those who have been removed are just 5 members, which includes Professor Narada Varnasuri, a very prominent academic, again a pediatrician from Javatanpura Hospital, who is now retired, and 3 other members, where we are accused of all the facts in the terms of reference, and then we are told we are revoking the appointment.
So
it just so happens that these are members who were appointed previously by the previous minister.
What a happy coincidence.
Absolutely.
Right. I'm sorry, but it's almost laughable. I don't mean to laugh, but it's the irony that's started me off laughing. Now then, I want to ask you this. What happened to transparency? They did a report, but you haven't seen it.
Yes.
They say you're charged, so to speak, with various misdemeanors or departures from process or non-delivery, whatever you want to call it, and then you're not given a chance to
reply. No.
That sounds to me as being very much lacking in transparency.
One is transparency, then the issue of natural justice, where the other side also has to be heard of.
The other side must be heard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's not happened. It has been heard collectively as a council, not individually, not the 5 members, including myself, Professor Narada, and the 3 other members.
What does the minister say?
Sorry?
What does the minister say?
All what it says is because based on certain allegations made against the SLMC.
Has this natural justice bit gone over her head?
Maybe.
Sounds a bit.
I don't know. I can't understand the mentality of people, so I can't come to conclusions of what has happened. But these are the facts that shows that it
Have you ever worked in a sort of in a communist country?
Never. No. Sorry. I would like to, but anyway.
Really? Because if it was you're talking about the other side needs to be heard.
Yes.
That usually happens in a democratic nation.
Yes. Supposedly democratic nation. Yes.
Right. So, and hence I asked you if you'd worked in a communist country, because you could have, then you'd have to follow what you're told. You should do what we tell you.
Exactly.
Otherwise we'll send you to the gulag. Right, okay, so can we deal with some of these allegations that, or I suppose that's what they are until you investigate. Now some of these allegations are, for example, about the misconduct. Now, am I right in saying that one side, the other side, not you, are maintaining that misconduct only refers to misconduct clinically? That means when you're prescribing something or you're treating a patient and so on. But what's your view?
I mean, one of the allegations against us is on the conduct of formal inquiries against doctors. So of course, misconduct of a doctor may be just in the regulation book, but then there are accepted norms, and then the Sri Lanka Medical Council has prepared a booklet on the ethical behavior of doctors. So we have been right throughout going on that booklet, although it is not specifically mentioned in the ordinance. But now, since recently, it's been challenged.
Right.
And one of the accusations in this letter of revoking our appointment is that we are meddling with that process, whatever process they are talking about, which is not clear.
In this ordinance, it says here, item E, 15E, on his being declared an insolvent or bankrupt by any competent court. Now, if you're bankrupt, it doesn't really mean that you don't know your medicine. But the fact that it's included in there is that it implies an expectation that one conducts oneself in a fit and proper manner, all-encompassing.
Yes.
Not into this narrow clinical field.
Yes.
That's what you're saying, right?
Yes. I mean, basically, behavior doctors may be in terms of financial way of doing things, corruption, assault of other doctors or people on the road, not necessarily patients.
I haven't seen doctors hit each other in the in the precincts of a hospital.
Why not?
But if they did, they would be accused of being professionally unsound.
So one side of doctors will complain to the Sri Lanka Medical Council, and then we will have to hold an inquiry. But if one party says that this is not a clinical problem, right? That's one of the problems. So that's been challenged basically. And then of course the other side of the problem is that we are doctors looking at behavior doctors. So there may be conflicts of interest, either positive or negative.
Can I ask you this then? It might be easier for us all to understand. How does it work in the United Kingdom with the General Medical Council?
Yes, I think the Sri Lanka Medical Council was formed in 1926, almost 100 years ago.
Right.
On the same platform as the General Medical Council.
Right.
However, the General Medical Council has evolved gradually, of course, and so therefore they have a better, a more transparent system, and they try to ensure lack of conflict of interest, and also ethical behavior of doctors, like public drunkenness and other things are also addressed. So
that's one issue. Give me another one. There's 5.
Then you mean the reasons, allegations.
The allegations.
Right. Now they do not consider A-level results or whatever. They have a very tough examination to the doctors who come to practice medicine
from overseas. That's overseas qualified.
Yes.
That's the ERPM?
No, that's the plan.
Oh, okay. Right.
So we call it the ERPM, they call it the plan.
Right.
So it's tough.
Okay.
So if you can pass a tough exam, right, that's what they want.
Right.
I'm not saying that we should not have a ERPM.
No.
We have a ERPM. Of course, I believe that it should be tough on one hand. At the same time, the issue of A-levels and all that is also may be important, although the GMC does not look at it.
Right.
Now, on the 2nd of November, the Parliament of Sri Lanka has passed a Gazette notification, which will be legal once the formalities are over, that persons who have had less than 2 C's and 1 S in the A-levels would not be eligible to practice medicine in Sri Lanka. Right, that's it. So, but it would not be with retrospective effect. It will be prospective anyway. That's almost all laws in Sri Lanka or any democratic country will be prospective. I think there was only one case which was retrospective, which was that Ekanayaka case of hijacking the Eligibility airline. That's the only instance which has been put retrospectively.
Thank you very much for your questions. I've got one which is not a question but a statement, and it says here, Professor, it's called Ape Andur. Do you think politics has now come into play?
I don't think I can make a statement in that sense, but I think it is up to what is happening in the system and for the people to understand and interpret what is happening. So, so it may be a fact, but it may not even be. I mean, it can be contested.
Right.
But it's for the people to understand what is happening.
Somebody is asking, who's responsible for delaying Act 16 examinations?
Right, that's a slightly long question. I mean, the Act 16 delay was mainly because of the minimum A-level qualifications.
Right.
So where the SLMC said the council as general, not specifically one person or the other, took decisions that they are not going to get registered to do the Act 16 or the ERPM exam. But then, however, we did not have a regulation. From the 3rd of November, yes, we have, maybe, right? So we didn't have a regulation. So there were a large number of students who were denied to do the exam because they did not have the A-level.
Although they went and got qualified themselves at a high level of examination.
In universities that are recognized by the Sri Lanka Medical Council. So some of these students went to court, and when they went to court, it would be, we were advised by the lawyers not to exams when some people have gone to court challenging our decisions. So that was one of the reasons. And then we had an issue of COVID, where for about 1.5 months or 2 months we were closed. And then after that we functioned with 50%, 25%, different ratios of staff. So there was a delay in that. And then the court decision on this minimum qualification came late because of the COVID.
Yeah.
So once the court decision was given, we took a decision as to whether we are going to comply with the court or reject it. So basically a majority of the council members decided we are going to comply with the court because otherwise it would be contempt of court.
Right.
But there were some who were not happy and they were not willing to give consent.
Right.
So anyway, because of the majority decision, we decided to have the exam. And so we have decided, but then there were protests by some council members in the dates and the postponements and so on and so forth, not necessarily by me or this segment of the people whose membership has been revoked, but by maybe others as well. And of course, because of that there was a delay. But then we took up a position of giving exact dates. Of course, anybody could go through the minutes and find out what really happened, minutes of the meetings. So I think basically we decided on dates. We have decided on the 18th of December this month to start and then finish by 24th. So although there were logistical reasons for the delays, right, and also certain decisions by the council members from a collective decision making, which was either unanimous or by a majority, the exams got delayed.
Can I ask you this question, Professor? Let's say that you don't have as many A-levels or your results are a little bit down, but you managed to get into one of these universities approved by the SLMC or recognized by the SLMC, and then you qualify or you get through and you get your degree. In your opinion, will that particular person be lesser qualified than somebody who's got the A-levels and got the same level of pass at the degree level?
It can be variable. Some may be as good or maybe even better, because in the olden days at least, or even now, people don't get through the exams A levels first time. So first time it may be 4 failures, and the next time it will be 4 A's maybe, because they have studied, right? So
are you going to forever carry the cross of not having passed the first time?
That's the argument. And then some of the people who have got 4 F's may be, I'm just just postulating, yes. So some of them may decide not to sit for the second time, but then go and sit what they call a pre-medical exam in that particular university, so that maybe, I mean, that person has, according to that university that we have recognized, has qualified. So that's what the court says. It's not my interpretation itself.
What does the court say now?
The court says that the Sri Lanka Medical Council has no right to look at A levels, but if the university that they have studied and qualified from, we have to recognize that degree.
Right.
So basically that's it. I mean, it's not my opinion, it's the court order. If he didn't oblige by that, it would have been contempt of court.
Right. And then but what's your personal view? Your personal view is?
That's what I said. I mean, A level first time, you get 3 A's.
So what you're saying is you don't need to carry the cross of failing the first time?
Maybe.
Okay.
But at the same time, there may be some students who are actually not as competent. But then if you have a tough ERPM exam...
If they still had a 2-1 at university, then what?
Sorry?
If they then got their degree.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But somebody can challenge and say that particular degree, although we recognize it, may not have the same standards as the Sri Lankan universities. Again, hypothetical. But then by having an ERPM exam, what we are doing is we are weaning out those who are not fit to practice medicine. So like the GMC, if we who have a tough lab exam, when you have the ERPM exam, if they qualify, I mean these are
these bars or these standards seem to be quite high. Are you concerned that I'm asking this question because there's obviously a shortage of doctors when you look at our country and the requirement. Are you concerned that if you lower that bar by accepting this A-level, non-A-levels and all that business, if you lower the bar ever so slightly and accommodate all these things, are you concerned for the quality of the end product?
I mean, that possibility is there, but it need not be necessarily so, because I know of people who have failed botany at the A levels who are now professors in America, professors of medicine. So I don't know, I mean, if that person sat for second time, he may have ended up with higher...
But what about politicians? Sometimes they fail once, twice, 3 times, and then they come into parliament and they're there for 40 years.
I'm sorry, I'm not qualified to comment on that, because politics is not medicine.
I'm drawing the same...
you can make a comment, not my comment.
You're saying about the A-levels, I'm saying about the politicians. They fail every now and then, they fail and then they come back again. And they have no qualification. There is no requirement for a qualification. That should be perhaps another debate, which we may have actually, whether politicians and legislators need to have a minimum level of entry before they can get our vote. That might be an interesting thought. Watch this space. We may actually debate that here. But now then, so you believe that you still are the president of the SLMC?
Yeah, simply because the reasons for removal is illegal and it is not in compliance with the ordinance. And I have not been charged I have not been charged, or I am not found guilty of any of those
A, B, C, D, E,
I think
F.
about 6, yes.
Yes, 15 A, B, C, D, E, F.
Yes.
You're complying with all of that?
Yeah.
Right. and yet they've removed you. And can I ask the question? If you don't want to answer, don't answer. I get paid anyway. So, is it because this minister didn't appoint you?
I mean, no, I think it's mainly because this has not happened in
Has it never happened in the past?
In the past.
Never?
Never.
So, no minister ever has removed a sitting SLMC president.
Yeah. I think
that's very interesting.
I think there is a reason. Once you come and sit there, there is some continuation of certain processes. For example, the cases heard against doctors.
Yeah.
If I cease to be the president and a new president comes, you have to hear the cases all over again. So what we have done all this time in hearing cases or complaints against doctors have to start all over again. And then we are victimizing the complainants as well as those who are accused.
Is this a kind of a justice delayed is justice denied kind of thing?
It's a matter of interpretation. Yes.
Where's this all going to end? You're not sending the right message to the people who are being told that there is one law in this country and that all people are one class.
Yeah, I think my opinion is that the Sri Lanka Medical Council is for the people, for the patients, not necessarily for doctors. Of course, maybe certain doctors as well. But therefore, I think my stand is that the independence of the Medical Council should not be compromised. And that is that's a very important thing, because since there is a precedence to it, it will keep on happening, and not only in this independent body but also in other independent bodies as well.
Professor Harendra, thank you very much for being on Newsline Live.
Okay.
And please keep us informed so that we can communicate all this to the general public, who are told that there is one law, one country, one class of people. On that note, take care. Thank you very much for watching Newsline Live, and we'll see you again tomorrow night, same time, same place. Take care, and as always, God bless you.